Feeder fishing for skimmers. I mean, this time of year, but all times of year, it's awesome. It takes me right back to my roots when Daddy May first started me off, especially on great big open waters like this today. I absolutely love this venue. We're at Meadowlands Fishery in Coventry today. It's only my 4th time on here, and it's awesome. I wish it was closer to me. It's just a great big open expanse of water, and fishing for skimmers like I do, it's just phenomenal. The only place that I can sort of like say is anywhere similar to it is Porth Reservoir for me, right down Cornwall way. So starting off wise on venues like this, what am I looking for? Or what am I looking for? I'm looking to not fish too far out. I always want the option of potentially fishing the pole. Obviously you can do a silly weight of skimmers this time of year. We're sort of like getting towards middle of March, so everywhere's just started to wake up now. Obviously we've got sort of like just over 12 hours of daylight, and that's brilliant for fishing this time of year. It has been proper cold, but as I say, it's mild throughout the day, so I always want a backup as a pole line just in case. But not today, folks, because I love the feeder fishing. So feeder fishing I want to be doing between sort of say 25, no more than sort of 40 yards, and then I've got the option of fishing pole sort of 13 to 14.5 metres. So I'll be looking starting off 25 turns, something like that, putting 3 or 4 sort of decentish feeders in. You know, not loads of particle baits in there. Mix I'm using today is dynamite silverfish and the black F1 sweet. Now, it's a personal favourite of mine. Everyone's got their own favourite mixes, but it's just caught me so many fish. You know, the last few years it's been out, it's been awesome. So 3 or 4 feederfuls, big feederfuls of that. Get some bait in with hardly any casters and maggots in there, and then just alternate the hook baits. You know, casters on the hooks, maggots on the hook, pinkies, worms, whatever you want, folks. But I'm going down the maggots and casters route. The dynamite silverfishing one, it's not got a lot of fish meal content, which is perfect for me, and it's very fine, but I'm adding more of the fish meal content with the F1 cool water. It's just to darken the mix out. Obviously, yeah, the fish is starting to wake up and they're getting a bit more colour in the water, but it's still pretty clear. You know, you can see, look, sort of like you put a disco maggot in that's right clear, and you can see it's sort of 18 inches down. So I don't want just a completely sort of brown ground bait. I want to darken it off a little bit. And it's just, as I say, it's what you got confidence in, and I just absolutely love them 2 mixes for me skimmers. Feeder setup, I've got 6-pound main line on, pretty much standard. I'll always say when I'm coaching, make sure your line's loaded right to the lip of the spool. This one's not, so I must have like either snapped off or something last time. I got it right in the bird's nest, because it's nowhere near, but for this kind of fishing, folks, it doesn't need to be. You know, we're not chucking far out. So I've got 6-pound main line on. I've only got a light bomb rod, it's only a 10-foot bomb rod. Obviously, skimmer fishing, especially in deep water, we've got probably at a 12 or 14 foot here. It's pretty deep, and obviously pumping them fish back through that depth of water, you know, that you're prone to like ripping out of them, so you only want a right soft bomb rod out. Incidentally, I've got quite an heavy tip on now, because we have got a big toe in the water. You know, we've got a nice westerly blowing today, so I've got an 1.5 ounce tip on, which might seem a bit, you know, harsh for skimmers, but it's lovely in conjunction with a nice soft rod. Feeders wise, it's all about experimenting. You know, I'm starting off on something like the 3-hole cage feeder, homemade by the way, and then obviously we've got a proper block end one with no holes in whatsoever. Make sure you're getting that bait straight down. So I'll start off on one of them 2 and see what's what. So hook length wise, I always tend to start off on a 3-foot hook length, and a 16s hook on today. You know, quite a fine wire hook, and I'm just going to bait up with maggots and casters. What you'll find on big open expanses of water like this, which do tend to be really silty, especially bream and skimmers, they will hang off the bottom. So they'll sort of like watch your bait fall through the water and nose down dive on it. Now, most of your bites come within that first sort of say 2 to 5 minutes of your feeder hitting the bottom. Once it's settled in that, yeah, you're still going to get bites, but usually in bream fishing on big silty venues like this at Cheeky, you're going to get them fish, as I say, as it's falling down through the water. So, you know, floating maggots and things like that can make a massive difference, or, you know, even regular casting with like a cage feeder on and real light ground bait. We don't know yet, we don't know what the session's going to entail before we start off, obviously, so that's why I'm not like completely filled it in with ground bait. I've just like I've let myself open for options. So starting off wise, so I've clipped up 26 turns on my reel, which is roughly sort of between 25 and 30 yards, I suppose. I'm going to start off, I'm going to put 4 sort of largest feeders in, literally sort of 8 to 10 casters, 8 to 10 maggots in, hardly any particle baits whatsoever. So that goes in first, folks, with no up length on whatsoever. So cast it in. The first 2, when I cast it, I'm going to let it sink to the bottom, then give it a couple of whacks to release all that bait. The next 2 after that, I'm going to count it down sort of 2 or 3, then I'm going to shake it off. So you're releasing that bait a little bit higher up in the water, so that it's creating a bigger area as it settles on the bottom. Then I'm going to come back, put one of the smaller feeders on and just chuck it in with maggots. Now my first, I'd say 3 casts, if I've not had anything, I'll be leaving this in sort of like 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. And if I've not had anything, that's when, you know, I'll decide either to go on smaller bait, smaller hooks, lighter lines, or chucking a little bit further, or putting a bomb on. You know, I might have put too much bait in the first place, or just changing sizes of feeders. There's loads of little tips and tricks that you can do with feeder fishing to make the most out of your session. See, folks, when I cast in, so I'm casting, bring the rod straight back, and then it's going to hit the clip, so it lands with a nice plop. What you don't want is if your feeder's whacking into water and going horrendous, you know, you're going to be tangling this, that and the other. It wants to be a nice plop, so like your feeder lands and you get that column of water going up it and then straight back down onto the feeder. So I've probably got like a 4 or 5 second count. It's pretty deep here, folks, before it hits the bottom. What I'll do then, obviously the line's going to be sunk, my rod's going to be under the water, so I'll bring it back up and I'm going to drag it sort of 2 foot so that my hook bait is going to be over my feeder. Now bearing in mind I'm holding a tight line, so if you can imagine your hook length's over here and your feeder's falling like that because you're holding a tight line to it. If it was slack line, it goes straight down and your hook bait's going to be right over your feeder. But by holding a tight line, you're naturally going to have that angle on it. And then obviously when you move the feeder, your hook bait is going to be coming over your feed. It's all about, I mean, obviously starting off is the main thing, so it's that first hour's going to tell me, you know, what kind of fish are in the vicinity. Big word for me that, I just heard it the other day, I haven't got a clue what it means. And that's going to determine obviously where I fish and how often I cast. Now, if I'm getting liners or if I'm noticing a load of slime on my main line, then obviously that means the fish is shorter. If I'm not getting bites, then, you know, I'll unclip and maybe let sort of 2 to 4 meters off, something like that. The fish might be backing off, you know, trying left and right. So many people, folks, honestly, beat themselves up about getting it in a bucket. Trust me, when it's like big fish, certainly bream and skimmers, when they're coming in and they're wanting a feed, it doesn't matter. Obviously, the more you do something, the more you're going to get used to it, and that's when accuracy comes. But honestly, folks, don't beat yourself up if it's like my casting, it's like 5 fields away. It doesn't matter.